welcome back to Just One Question. This is such a treat for me to see Phyllis Fagell again. Phyllis, you need to know, wrote an amazing book, Middle School Matters, and she goes out and talks about it. It's about how you get those kids who are going through, well, you know what they're going through. They're going through the toughest time of your life in many ways. And they're deciding who they are as human beings, and they're asking questions about all those things, and they're also trying to cope with their peers, and on and on and on. Phyllis wrote an amazing book about how to help your kids through that. And as I say, she speaks on the subject. She is a middle school guidance counselor, and she probably does a bunch of other things that I can't remember right at the moment because I've got coronavirus brain. Anyway, welcome, Phyllis. Tell us how you're doing in 30 seconds or less, and then we'll get to just one question.
Well, first, thank you for having me. I probably wouldn't be doing any public speaking at all if it wasn't for your support. And so I really appreciate you. In terms of how I'm doing, I think it's best summed up by the fact that I was sitting here waiting for this session to start, not realizing that it was tomorrow. So thank you so much for moving things around and doing it when my brain thought it was instead of when it actually was scheduled for.
Somebody said the other day in Facebook or somewhere, it was the 95th of April or the 95th of June or something. And I thought it sure does feel that way. So,
One of my favorite exchanges with my own son, he was 11 at the time, early in the pandemic, he asked me he said, "Mom, is today Monday or Thursday?" And I said, "I think it's Monday." And he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "No."
Exactly. Yeah, that's where we are. But rather than go down that rabbit hole and talk for hours about how strange our lives are right now, I'm going to ask you a more pointed question, just one question, which is we've been in this pandemic for a while now, God knows, and we are getting kind of used to it in some ways and more appalled with it on a daily basis in other ways. But my question to you is, having to move into all this virtual work, as a guidance counselor, as a speaker, as a writer, and I should have said, by the way, as someone who writes often for the Washington Post, that was the key piece I was forgetting. So as a writer, what's working for you in this virtual world, if anything, and what's not working?
Well, first, you just broke down the different compartments of my life, and I think that being in a virtual world is working to varying degrees of success depending on which bucket we're looking at. So on the writer front, it's actually been a boon because I have more time to be contemplative. Everybody is online constantly, which means that I can reach a source within minutes, even if it's somebody who is in demand and who I do not know. It's really remarkable. But on a counseling front, when it comes to being a school counselor, working with clients, working with their families, I find that it very much gets in my way. There are people who I can't reach at all. There are people who I feel like I can't connect with to the same degree that I might in person. We obviously don't have the benefit of looking at body language in the same way. There's that delay on Zoom. There's that Zoom fatigue that sets in. And so as a counselor, I cannot wait to be working in person with kids and clients again. And then there's that third bucket, which has to do with me personally. And I am an introvert. I had been on the road for Middle School Matters nonstop for month after month. I had barely seen my family. And so the sudden shutdown, it's like a permanent snow day. It's kind of an overcorrection for the lack of snow days. But it was an opportunity to catch my breath and to spend some time with my family, and I appreciated that. And then the last bucket, of course, is my own family and my role as a parent. And it's been really hard to see my own kids cope with disappointments. I have a senior in high school, I have a junior in high school, and then I have a middle schooler. And it really was very difficult for them to varying degrees. And watching that you feel a certain sense of helplessness.
Yeah, I feel so bad for especially the seniors in high school and of course in college who miss out on all that fun associated with graduation and the ending of something, and you just can't mark it in the same way. That just seems to me is tragic because that's not a year they get back again. whatever happens to it. We can try and we can give them second best and palliative measures, but it's not the same.
No, it's not the same. And I think as you started out this conversation by saying they do recognize that we're talking about putting this into a greater global perspective. I spoke to head of infectious diseases earlier today, Dr. Aronoff, who mentioned that what we're trying to do now is have a picnic in the middle of a forest fire. And we're asking questions like, should I bring buckets of water? Where should I park? Where is the clearing in the forest? And so we really are trying to make the best of a forest fire at the moment. And to a certain degree, it's possible. And to a certain degree, there are things we just can't control.
That's a very vivid image. I like that. Count on the doctors to come up with something pithy and absolutely terrifying. Well, yeah. On that note, Phyllis Fagell, thank you so much for being just one question, and thank you for sharing your perspective. And if you have a middle schooler, or even if you don't, if you're just curious about your own life and how it went when you were in middle school and what you could have done better or differently, check out Middle School Matters, because it's an awesome book filled with really direct, no-nonsense, thoughtful advice that Phyllis gives. So a great book for everybody. Thank you, Phyllis Fagell.
Thank you, Nick.